going on, everybody? It's David from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop. So park your ass right there. Today, we got a special video where I'm going to talk about some of the most underrated horror villains in the genre. All right? So we're going to go from the past, we're going to go in a little bit of present, we're going to jump all over the place. But look, this was one of the most complicated things to do. So before we get into it, I want you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button at the bottom. What are you waiting for? Go ahead and do it. Now, this was one of the most complicated things for me to do. The reason why, because there's so many horror villains in the genre that I feel are underrated or underappreciated, and I feel like they need to be discussed a little bit, or at least talked about or given some sort of limelight. So hopefully today I'll hit you with a couple of characters that you probably never even heard of, some movies that you never heard of, and maybe you can go check them out. But this list was so complicated to do, it was hard to just, at first I had to do 10, then I had to bump it up to 12. Then I just had to go ahead and make a freaking honorable mentions list. So that's what I'm gonna hit you with first. All right, so these following ones are my honorable mentions. It's not my top 12, but these are some cool characters that I feel like maybe you should check out. So first, we have Dr. Alan Feinstein from The Dentist. My man goes psychopathic because his wife is cheating on him with the pool man, and then it ends up spiraling out of control. And since he's the dentist, you already know where some of the murders are going to take place and how they're going to use that career in order to push the narrative or murders or anything in this film. So a lot of the deaths in this movie are revolved around dentistry. And I think, honestly, that's a pretty cool concept for a character design. And honestly, Alan does a pretty good job at looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? So then moving on, we have Cropsey from The Burning. Now, if anybody's seen The Burning, which I may or may not have, it's about this dude that they were playing a prank on. He ends up getting set on fire. He's burned to a horrible disfigurement. He ends up going to a hospital, coming back out and wreaking havoc against all the freaking people that did him harm, which are campers for some reason. So it feels like Friday the 13th. But anyway, to the point, Cropsey's design, his melted looking face, his little trench coat that he wears, and then not to mention that my man carries around a wicked pair of garden scissors to kill his victims. That's what makes him really unique and a cool looking character that I honestly like. Another honorable mention is David Harris from The Stepfather. Now, if you haven't seen Stepfather, it's about this maniac who basically jumps family to family, butchering them as he sees fit. So once they find out that he's not who they think he is, he go ahead, wipes them out, and moves on to the next group. Honestly, his maniacalness, his craziness, and the way that he maneuvers this throughout the story and the show, and he plays a damn good pathological liar. And honestly, he starts to believe the stuff that he honestly says, which makes this movie very interesting. And honestly, that's why I'm putting David Harris in on my list of honorable mentions. Then we have Gregory Tudor from The Ice Cream Man. Now, if you haven't seen The Ice Cream Man, it's a very cheesy movie that came from the 90s. Now, the only reason I'm mentioning this is because the dude that plays Gregory honestly does a hell of a good job at looking like a crazy dude. And this movie kind of feels very Goonie-ish. It's about this ice cream man who's kind of crazy and ends up doing wicked things with this ice cream. And the kids are trying to basically show that he's crazy. So it's one of those type of movies, right? We've seen movies like that, Disturbia, Summer from '84, et cetera, right? So Gregory Tudor honestly is a very interesting character. The way he kills people, honestly, the makeup that they used in this movie was freaking amazing. The special effects and all that good stuff was crazy. And honestly, I would love a figure of this man. If any company decides to make one, go ahead and send your boy one, pro bono. Anyway, so then moving on to my other honorable mentions, I have I have Frank Zito from Maniac. My man runs around, hallucinates, sees the people that he kills, and then turns around and pops people with a shotgun and blows their head off to oblivion. Honestly, dude, Maniac is a very underrated cult classic. If you haven't seen it, it's honestly something that probably should be on your radar. You should go check it out if you have not already. The dude that Frank Zito's character is amazing. He does a very good job at playing off the whole insanity role. Now moving on, Victor Crowley from Hatchet. Victor Crowley is nothing more than a freaking brute with a hatchet that hacks people to pieces, rips them apart, and bludgeons them to death. There's nothing really unique about this character except that he's freaking awesome with the way he rips people apart. So if you're into one of those ridiculously gory movies that don't make much sense, Hatchet and Victor Crowley are there for you. Then we also have The Other from Hellfest. So it took me a while to find out who the hell this dude was and how, like, what did they want to call him during the movie, because he has so many different identities in a way, if you want to say, when you get to the end of the movie. Honestly, this was one of the movies that I passed on. I didn't want to see it. I ended up watching it one day out of boredom, and it's actually better than I thought. The character from Hellfest is very believable because at the end of the movie, it basically shows you that it can be anybody. It could be an average Joe, somebody with a family, somebody with a regular life. It just has this freak personality to go out and cause mayhem and destruction. And honestly, that made him very likable in my eyes. So that's why he's my last pick on my honorable mentions. Now, since we got those out of the way, we're moving on to my actual list. Now, my actual list of underrated horror characters, or villains, if you want to say. Number one, Matt Cordell from Maniac Cop. Maniac Cop, low-key, is one of my favorite films. It's one of my favorite culty films. And I was so hyped to hear that they were going to make a TV show about it. Now, Matt Cordell is a vengeful officer. I don't think he's risen from the dead yet, but he's a vengeful officer coming back to seek revenge against the people who did him wrong. All right? That's basically it. My man bludgeons people with a freaking billy club, stabs him with a knife, pops him with a Uzi, does all kind of crazy stuff. I think he even shoots somebody with a shotgun in this movie. But Matt Cordell is a brute. My man got the Jason vibes in a freaking police uniform. If you're into those type of movies, which I am, I think Matt Cordell deserves to be on this underrated horror list. And I can't wait, if they decide to push forward with it, when he has his own TV show. Moving on, we got Dr. Philip Decker from Nightbreed. Now look, although Decker didn't really have a lot of like screen time in this movie, he did, every time he was on the screen, he was dope. My man's mask looks tight, got the little buttons on the eyes, zipper for the mouth, and all that crazy stuff, looking like a gimp. Honestly, Decker looks pretty dope. I like his design. I have his NECA figure in the closet, waiting to be propped up in a glass case when I get it. Decker's design is cool. He has some pretty cool slogans, and honestly, he kind of steals the scenes that he's in when he's in the damn movie. I really like Decker a lot in Nightbreed. So he's number 2 on my underrated horror list. Number 3, Pumpkinhead. Now, everybody, I know a lot of people have heard about Pumpkinhead. Some people have not. In all honesty, every time I look at Pumpkinhead, I honestly get Alien vibes. It reminds me of like the Queen Alien from Alien for some strange reason, but he's like the demonic version. So my man Pumpkinhead rises up to seek vengeance against all those who summon him, whether it's the witch or whether it's whoever it is that summons him. But one thing's for sure though, once that man is risen, he's going to try to do his damnedest to go ahead and finish the job. So whether that be ripping you to pieces or stabbing you in the stomach with a shotgun, Pumpkinhead gonna make it happen. And that's why he lands at number 3 on my underrated horror villain list. Number 4, Harry Warden from My Bloody Valentine. Now you go with the remake or you go with the original. Me personally, I like the original. So I'm gonna talk from that perspective. Harry Warden was a man who got stuck in a mining shaft with poisonous gas, ended up eating people in order to stay alive, and went crazy in the process. Turned around on the same day, came back, became a maniacal killer, and killed people on the same day that he was stuck in the damn mining shaft. So with that being said, there's a lot of pickaxe kills in this film that are really dope. Even though Harry Warden seems a lot more stronger than what he should be, he has this ridiculous crackhead strength that he uses against his enemies. Now, I think his design is pretty dope. The whole miner outfit, the mining hat, and then the gas mask with the pickaxe. It's a really cool design. The 80s is full of them trying to exploit different kind of costumes. So you have like from the scuba diver outfit from Amsterdam, and you have like Santa Claus outfit from Silent Night, Deadly Night, etc. Like you have all these. There's another movie with a freaking motorcycle costume as well too. It's out there. There's all these different gimmicks. But honestly, Harry Warden had the dopest gimmick with the mining outfit. So that's why he's at number 4. Number 5, The Collector. Dude, The Collector is one of the most underrated new age horror films. It screams originality, and that's why I like this franchise. I can't wait until they drop the third one. Hopefully they go ahead and do that because I'm looking forward to it. The first two movies were so dope. The way that he kills, the way that he moves, he's so cerebral and he plans things out. He's always one step ahead of the competition. It always makes these movies super interesting. And honestly, his design, the way that he carries himself is always super dope to see. And that's why the collector lands at number 5 for me. Now, number 6, a lot of you may not have seen this. It's a Portuguese film by the name of At Midnight, I Take Your Soul. I'm talking about mother freaking Coffin Joe. Coffin Joe, dude, is this, in a way, I want to say satanic or dark and evil person who gets upset because his wife cannot bear children. So what he ends up doing is he ends up killing her and then kidnapping this other lady for her to have his kid. And some things go into play and something happens, and I don't want to tell you the story, so that's why I'm doing that. So if this sounds interesting to you, go ahead and check it out. It's a black and white film. It's Portuguese, and Coffin Joe's demeanor, the way he doesn't care, the way that he's so evil, and his design with a long ass crack nail and a top hat and a coat looking like a little satanic pimp. It's honestly very, very it's very eye catching. So that's why Coffin Joe lands at number 6 to me. Then we have at number 7, we got the tall man, you know, boy Angus. This film honestly was one of those movies that I honestly only watched because I heard the soundtrack and the theme, and everybody knows the iconic Phantasm theme. So I watched this movie, and honestly, it blew me away by how freaking awesome it was. You have this tall dude basically living, operating out of a morgue with these little freaking midgets that look like they're from Star Wars chasing people, and they're basically like his minions to do his bidding. But the big point of it is you have this big tall dude throwing these metal spears at people, catching onto their scalps and drilling into their heads. Then you got that yellow mustard blood and all that other cool stuff. So it's the tall man is guaranteed a classic character that I feel like doesn't get enough appreciation. So that's why he lands at number 7. Now, number 8, the clown is back in town. You already know what his name is. It's Art, in case you didn't know. Art the Clown from Terrifier. In all honesty, the reason why I picked Art the Clown is because a lot of people don't like this guy, but me personally, I like him. I like his films, I like what he's about, and I like how sadistic he is. Those movies are ridiculously gory, and the extents that he goes through to murder people is always pleasing because these movies are ridiculously gory, and the amount of carnage that this dude causes in an amount of 90 minutes is amazing. So everybody already knows the most brutal thing that he did with the girl hanging upside down in the saw and all that crazy stuff. That's like one of the most iconic scenes from the film, and I know that that's a lot of reasons why people go watch that film. But honestly, the reason I like Art is because he breaks the cliche. He breaks the whole horror cliche idea that, you know, they got to use a slab, they got to use a knife or something, some sort of weapon or something. My man Art ends up in a desperate situation and has to pull out that thing and handle some business. You'll know what I'm talking about as soon as you see that movie. But Art the Clown is a freaking ridiculously cool character that I enjoy, and I can't wait until Tots put out his figure, so I go ahead and cop that. Unless Tots want to send me one for free, that'll be awesome too, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, moving on. Number 9, we got John motherfreaking Ryder. John Ryder from The Hitcher. Now, he's John Ryder is a dude that played in Blade Runner, and also he played in Split Second. For some reason, his name is not hitting my brain for some reason, but you know him when you see him. But anyway, John Ryder is a sadistic-ass hitchhiker on the side of the road that basically whoever's car he gets into, he's going to ruin your life. You're going to wish you never picked him up, ever, and he's going to make sure of it. This movie is nonstop carnage from beginning to end, and it's all about this man, John Ryder, wreaking havoc on this one particular dude, making him wish that he was never born or he never picked him up. And honestly, that's why John Ryder has landed on this list as one of the most underrated horror villains ever. I should have put him higher, but you know. Anyway, moving on. Number 10, the Djinn from Wishmaster. Now, the genie, whatever the hell you want to call him. I don't even know if I said it right, but whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Wishmaster, bruh. All right, so Wishmaster. Wishmaster to me doesn't get a lot of attention. It doesn't get as much credit as I think it deserves. Wishmaster is a freaking ridiculously original film. Like, it's very original. The idea, the concept, and honestly, the way that he kills people in the movies is pretty clever, right? He basically takes your wish, flips it on you, and then uses it against you and takes your soul in the process. It's dope. My man got the little, my man got the little Allen Iverson braids and shit going on and looking like a crazy ass demon. Wishmaster is one of the most underrated horror characters, I think, that needs to be brought up in more conversations. The fact that you have all of these classic horror villains or classic horror icons in this movie, like Tony Todd. I think you have, for some reason his name is escaping me. You have dude that played Jason. You have Angus in there. You have Tony Todd. You also have Robert Englund. All of these people being, Kane that plays Jason. You have all of these horror icons in this film. And honestly, the reason why they're in this film is because this film is a lot better than you think. If you haven't watched Wishmaster, go ahead and pop that in, and you will see why he landed on this underrated horror villain list. Moving on. A movie that a lot of you guys might have never seen, maybe you have seen it, and I also had a lot of help from my Facebook groups trying to compile different people that I ran across in the horror genre, but this name never came up, and it came up for me. Shout out to my boy David for putting me on to Castle Freak, Giorgio. Giorgio from Castle Freak is this freaking monster that lives in the basement because this dude's mom tied him up in the basement and tortured him because she was mad at her husband or whatever. That's beside the point. This man is a freaking monster. And every time he's on the scene, he's doing some sick shit. Just ripping people apart and biting people and hitting them with chains and things like that. Castle Freak is low-key one of the most, it was honestly a very entertaining film. I don't expect a lot when I run into full moon films, but honestly, Castle Freak was a very big surprise. He's an iconic character. He has his iconic looks. He looks like a man. Put it this way, it's like Smeagol from Lord of the Rings, but like murdering people, if that makes any sense. I think Smeagol did murder people. He was a murderer, but whatever. I'm talking about like in a brutal X-rated, like, gory manner. If you want to see something like that, Castle Freak is up your alley. Now, my final pick, number 12, the Masked Killer from The Prowler, or you could just call him The Prowler. Now, I have a lot of bias with this movie. A lot of people don't know about this film. A lot of people haven't seen this film. But at the end of the day, my dude has a dope-ass World War II GI outfit with a little helmet, blacked out face and everything. And the fact that this dude kills people with a bayonet, a freaking pitchfork, and a shotgun, it's pretty damn awesome. So, honestly, the idea behind the movie is pretty fucking stupid. You have some dude that got his heart broken that came back and wants to like torture the town because I guess some chick broke up with him in a letter. But that's beside the point. What does matter is the killing and the way that he kills people. You need to watch. If you haven't seen The Prowler, go ahead and watch that movie. It is a very, very it's very cool for its era, especially in the special effects department. I like The Prowler. I think his little costume is cool. I think he's a very cool character that honestly, I think a lot of more people need to know about him. So with that being said, that completes my list. What do you guys think? Do you agree with my list? Have you seen any of the movies on my list? Do you agree that some of the characters on my list deserve to be there? Or do you want to compile a list of your own? Or who do you want to replace from my list? Go ahead and drop it in the comment section. Tell me your list. Tell me who you want to replace. Tell me if you disagree, if you agree. All of that fun stuff. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I'm only 3 away from getting 100. I'm so close to getting there and I couldn't do it without you guys. So make sure that you guys go ahead and hit that button on your way out if you are not already subscribed. Now, until next time, this is Dave from the 80s and you are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Adios and get your ass out of here.